Hello, everyone. Welcome to Planet Zoo, Zoo Midwest 1.0. And whether there's a 1.1, 1.2 will just kind of depend on the amount of content I generate and how it might fit into the series, if that's indeed what we end up with here. Now, Zoo Midwest, I got started on before I was ready to record video because I was having trouble recording. I had previously in Planet Coaster always been using Fraps, and that just doesn't want to play nice with this game on my PC, and was having trouble figuring out how to get decent video out of the game. Mass Bandit finally told me what he does because I asked after struggling. And by the time I figured all this out, I had already built quite a bit of the entrance here. In fact, it's almost fully flushed out. I said it's not a big problem instead of, watching me build. And the way I build doesn't necessarily lend itself very well to, time lapse or videos of the build process because I tend to move back and forth between things sometimes and maybe move the camera a lot as I'm trying to figure out how to sort out or flush out something that's a little bit tricky. And speeding that up is just not good. It doesn't look good. So I'm gonna probably not do a lot of that anyhow. However, I expect going forward there will be more video of things in process instead of having to take a tour of it after it's already done. So Zoo Midwest will take place in the Midwestern region of the United States. I don't think it matters what state, could be anything in the Midwest. It will not be flat. There's already terrain shifts going on inside the zoo, although they're not dramatic at times. They will be there. And so the entrance area looks fairly flat, but the interior of the zoo will not be so flat. It will have some terrain shifting going on. The layout of this entrance plaza is loosely based on the Nashville Zoo, not directly. The architectural style here is totally different than what you would see at the Nashville Zoo. Very unique. These buildings are actually not based on any zoo buildings that I've seen. These are designs that I came up with based on prairie style architecture. People who know my stuff from Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and a little bit in Planet Coaster, although not much because I constrained myself with my park history and details of the park's past to not go this direction in some of the stuff I've done in Planet Coaster. However, if you remember my Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 stuff, a lot of prairie style architectural influence on things that I used to do. Decided, let's make a comeback with that and use that for entrance plaza. You notice as the guests come into the plaza, on the right is the ticketing area. Directly in front of that is rentals. They can pick up strollers, wheelchairs, things of that nature at the rental department. The ticketing area, I'm just using information booths in lieu of actual ticket counters. It's just so that people will walk up and do something there, make it look like maybe they're buying tickets to the zoo. And same with inside the rental area. There's just a couple of shops. I think it's a Looney Balloons and a Just a Memento that's inside the rental area. So they're not actually going to rent strollers and such. We can't do that currently in the game. It'd be kind of cool if someday we could, but currently we can't. So just some shops in there to give them something to go in and do something in the building. Same thing over here. This is, well, I'm looking at the ghost of Tejikam there. uh, that just kind of cracked me up. This over here is where the memberships would be sold, and probably guest and member services could be in that building as well. And again, this is how the entrance plaza for the Nashville Zoo is laid out. And so I liked that. I liked the flow of guests through this area. So I based it off of that just in intent and purpose of the buildings only. You notice there's some facilities back there. There's a power facility back there that's gone now thanks to recent update. But you had to have them in sandbags originally, so we had those things everywhere, and they were hard to hide sometimes. Really, it was awful. Really kind of great that they let us no longer have to do that in the sandbox. So that's now gone. If we look this area in the future, which we probably will, because we'll see some shots later that explain why, you'll notice that'll be gone, and we'll be able to do something else with the spot where that's sitting. So just kind of giving you a view of my garden, and I am not a gardening expert, I'll tell you that. I hope this looks good, but it might not. Somebody can tell me if it doesn't. Like the flow of this very well, though. But other than, I struggled with a few things, but most of it went pretty well. It came out the way I was hoping it would. First exhibit in here, first habitat is flamingos, and there goes the ghost Tagicam again. Needs a lot of work. Do a little bit of a time lapse on that here later in this video, and it's supposed to still be part of the zoo that hasn't really gone through a whole lot of renovation yet. This zoo is a zoo in transition. A lot of people are doing that, and I'm in no different in that regard. Most zoos are. Most zoos are not purpose-built brand new. A lot of them have been in existence for a long time, so there's a mix of old and new that will be in the zoo, and that just makes sense to do the same thing here. The entrance area here is supposed to be relatively new, but not brand new. It's probably been here for a few years, maybe more than 5, maybe less than 10, but it's a renovation from what would have been here initially in this zoo. I seem to be fascinated with the interior of that building for some reason. I had to go back and record this later on. I think I mentioned already that I didn't have any video of this being created, so that's why I'm sort of maneuvering about here, just looking at things, because you didn't get to see it when it was being built, and there is nothing in these shops yet either. I need to figure out what to put in there to make it look like there's a little more going on. We'll work on that. So a little overview here, you can kind of see the whole entrance plaza at night, and then, whoops, we switched to daytime. So this is, again, you can see on the right, tickets. The left would be memberships. You could buy memberships to the zoo. Probably other member services would be in there as well. There's a restroom there on the edge, on the end of the building also. In front of this whole area is going to be the rentals, and then the entrance gates into the zoo. So the direction we're probably going to go with this, and it's subject to change, everything I do always is not a huge zoo. I don't want it to be really big. Probably something you might find in kind of an average size Midwestern city. Probably not one of the large metropolitan zoos. But I would like it to be representative of a good size, or a good size zoo for a decent sized city, and also a zoo that is working on becoming much better. And so the mix between the old and the new will hopefully reflect that, and the variety of animals hopefully will reflect that as well. One of the things I did here was I took these benches and hid them underneath these flat rocks to give the whole area a little bit more of a natural feel. I did leave 2 of them unhidden right next to the member area, but everything else out here, the benches in the area, are underneath these flat rocks, and the people do actually use those. So a little bit of time I had the park open, people would sit on those. Noticing here that I missed this when putting in some of the rock detail, that I had tall grass growing up through the pavement, so I'm going to just quickly grab some soil and fix that. So get rid of that grass, no longer have that grass growing up the pavement. Doesn't look like my caretakers aren't doing their job if we don't fix that up, so get that fixed up real quick. So one of the parts of this entrance plaza that's not fully completed yet is the gardens. The gardens are just, some of them look pretty good, some of them look like they just aren't done yet. That lamppost is not going to stay there. I figured out that that thing is about the same height as the people in the game, so that is my scale, rather than using the archer that Shatoma has made, which is pretty funny. But I just throw that lamppost down instead. Working on our flamingo habitat here. Again, this one is supposed to look like it's a little bit older. Probably needs some updating. It's not going to be terrible though, but it isn't going to live up to the expectations of a modern zoo 100%. It's an area that, again, it doesn't look bad, but it probably can look a lot better. Probably over time would be something that would be on the zoo's master plan to eventually update a little bit more than what it will be when we're finished here. Dropping out a little water there, which again, after the update, we no longer have to have that filter you can see on the corner of the screen sometimes there. Will no longer have to be there to keep this clean. I did leave it in the park. I moved it over into the backstage area. I don't really mind having some utilities and things in my backstage, just not so many that we used to have out everywhere in the zoo. That they were because we had to have so many, it was difficult to hide those things at times, and it was a problem to keep that stuff hidden and keep it looking good. Constantly, it was a struggle to place that stuff as I was trying to lay the zoo out in ways where I was going to be able to hide it. And it was going to really drive some areas of this design in ways that I didn't like. So it's really great that we no longer have to worry about that quite so much, if at all, really. I mean, placement, if you want to now, you don't really have to in sandbox mode. So it's going to just, improve the creative freedom for everybody just a little bit. Made a slight change there to that path, which, again, really no longer has to be there. I think I did leave it there, though, for my staff's access to the backstage from that part of the main path. So it got left there, but the utility doesn't have to be there, so I could move that around a little bit if I needed to at later times to improve this habitat. I'm going to drop in some rocks here along the edge of this pond. Apparently flamingos like rocks, and we're going to put some flamingos in here, so some stone is going to work out well anyway. I'm going to have to do some painted terrain with stone to make them happy later on also, but this is the start. And as I looked at a lot of pictures of flamingo habitats, found some way better than what I'm actually going to build here, and found some that probably close to what this one should be as far as the intention of it, being one that's going to be improved at some point in the future for the zoo, but then it's kind of like, good enough, well, we're done for now. So it doesn't have to be the best looking habitat in the zoo, but I also didn't want it to look horrible. So trying to do some things here to dress it up a little bit, using the stones, rotating them around a little bit to give some variation in the design. Finally got the stones, kind of where I thought they needed to be at the moment, so move on to the barriers here. And, oh God. I should have cut this out because this is really boring. Who wants to watch me play barrier? What am I talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. We're going to start again here. Alright, take two. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, wait a minute. I'm not back to where I can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 yet. Let's get back to here. Get this in place. Oh, scrub through this video. I'll find it. I will. I'll find it. Stop it. Shit. Okay, here we go. So finally get to where I have all of these stones placed where I believe I want them for now, at least. We're not done with the stones yet because I'm kind of an idiot later on in the video, as you'll see. But place these barriers in here. Not 100% happy with this yet. I know I don't have any of the fencing in to keep the people back a little bit. They'll be separate from this barrier fencing. But I don't know. I'm going to have to mess with this. And I think somewhere down the road, as I mentioned too many times probably already, there's an exhibit that needs to be updated someday. One of the things that'll need to be improved is the fencing. It's fine, but it's just nothing spectacular, nothing special, and I could have done better, I think. But I guess that's okay. It's in keeping with the point here. This is, it's in transition, and this is not the newest exhibit, so yeah, maybe it's probably dogging on it too much. But yeah, get these things in place. We'll place in our entrance here for the keeper, so the keeper can get in. Drop that guy in there. Boom. Okay. And start working on some enrichment items and see. There we go. I think that's enough. So working on putting in some enrichment items. I put in a little food enrichment, or adding some bedding, where I'm going to put in some hard shelter, which will really be a quick and easy hard shelter now, with hopes to improve that in the future. Trying to get this waterfall in here, for some reason I just could not figure out why I wanted it, so I just stepped away from it for a little bit there to come back to it. Adding a few more enrichment items in instead, and back to the waterfall. And I end up not leaving it where I place it here, because it just seems to not really work there. Thought it would be better in another location, so I do move that before I call this good enough for now. Almost made a problem for myself placing the food trough there. Just only a couple places where it actually would fit close to where the shelter was going to go. Need to hire a keeper here. Didn't have one in the game yet. This was the first, second really, animal enclosure I had built. The other keeper was Force and Peafowl, which you can't see. They're off camera right now. So setting this up, and I forgot where my buildings were. So it had only been a day, It's a long time to remember things when you get to be old. So to go back and find my staff room and my keeper hut, and then go and edit my work zone here so I could get those things into it. And there we go. That's much better. So got our work zone set up. Rename that thing so that the flamingos know where they are. Or is it so the staff know where the flamingo? I don't know. It's just naming it so I don't get confused, I think is the truth. Then I go out to the animal trading and pick up the flamingos here. Find a couple to adopt and get that taken care of. Go to the trading center, drop them into quarantine. I'm again confused at where my buildings were. Get those things moved where they belong. Yeah, I can do it. I really can. There we go. Get that last one, and there's another one. Get that guy in there. That loves girl. Get that girl in there. I guess this last guy in here now. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And that's done. So that was hard. You'd think I hadn't been playing this game for a while. Okay, here comes there. They're gonna grab the animals, which it just cracks me up. These things are all in wooden boxes. I mean, who does that? Get them in there. Get them in there. Yeah, get them in quarantine there, so we can make sure that they're healthy and everything's good to go before we drop them in our habitat. It kind of tripped me up here because there were so many boxes being moved. I had 4 flamingos. I'm like, what are they doing? Why are there so many? And I don't even know where the first 2 flamingos came from. You notice I grabbed 2 out of the animal trading, but I already had 2, and I didn't remember purchasing them, but I must have. So that's neither here nor there. But I look in there. Oh yeah, there's peafowl. There must have been a peafowl. Some peafowl still sitting in the quarantine, or in the trade center, and they dropped them in quarantine. So here we go. They're ready to put these things in their habitat. I sped the game up here just so I wouldn't have to wait so long for that to be done. Select them and move them over. Don't put the peafowl in there. Oh my goodness, I don't know if they get along. There we go. So I get the animal delivery made. Watch the staff come in, drop the boxes in here again. It's silly that they're in boxes, but I suppose that they figure out some way to animate this. I don't know what else they would have done. Here, now I'm going to move that waterfall to where I thought it made more sense. It makes more sense to me to be over by the pond than it did to be clear over on the other side of the habitat. So I moved that, and I'm just gonna check my flamingo here, see what else they want me to do. And here we go. Gonna fix this. There's too much long grass in here, so a combination of soil and stone to balance this out a little bit. So maybe some short grass in there as well, so you get a better blend. Makes the flamingos happier with their habitat. Just work on getting that terrain a little better there. So adding soil into this and got that to go green. Just looking there, that obviously there's still something not right, but I think I got distracted here by the hard shelter. Yep, that's what it was. So the hard shelter decided to take care of that, even though I wasn't really done with terrain yet. I did realize that later on. This shelter I ended up building here, it does not stay. I'm not real happy with what I ended up with, even though it's better than what you're going to see me do here first. It still isn't, it's not good enough. But I started off doing this, and I don't know what the heck I was thinking here, because it wasn't going to fit the rest of this habitat at all, and it was going to look really out of place. And I think right about here, I decided to say, what am I doing? I'm going to get rid of this and start over again. So you'll probably see me delete some things here pretty quickly. And yeah, okay, yep, here we go. Oh, that's not going to work. I'm going to start over with something else. I mean, this is not the permanent one, and I knew this when I was building it, but I didn't want it to look crappy either, not that crappy. It's going to look a little rushed and a little incomplete, but it's not going to look, those pillars just weren't going to work. They were going to look silly in here. So grab a couple roof pieces here. And again, this is just not going to be a great build, but it's going to serve the purpose to make the habitat good enough to make the animals happy for now, and it will be addressed at some point in the future. I don't know if we'll make a video because it's just not ever going to be an exciting build. This is just very, very plain and simple. Good enough to satisfy the needs for now, and so I can move on to other things. Yep, shelter is satisfied, so look down. Yep, there you go. So rock is still too low, and here's what I'm thinking, but I got all these rocks in here, and then I realized, wait a minute, after I placed a couple more, wait a minute, that's not what it's talking about. It's not talking about these rocks. So, I'm a little slow sometimes, but I do eventually get it. I was like, so, okay, why does it still say it needs, oh, okay, because it means terrain paint, dummy. So, no, I still haven't figured out. I'm still going to copy some more rocks around thinking this is what it's looking for. And now maybe I'm going to realize, oh, it's talking about terrain, texture, not rock. So I here to fix that up a little bit. And that's not going to look good. So a little bit of soil to kind of tint it just a little more closer to the rocks that I have already used in here. Hoping I don't get too big of a contrast there. So that'll wrap it up for Zoo Midwest for now. There is more to come. We will definitely make at least 2 videos out of this series. We'll see. No, I think there's probably enough to do 3, maybe 4 already. If you've been paying attention to anything I have done on the Bro Nation Discord or over at Shy Guys World, you know what I'm working on next. It's a fairly large build. I have quite a bit of video from that. Some of it actually is of the build process because I managed to get some video of that will work for a YouTube video. Surprisingly enough, that doesn't happen very often with me. I just, I mentioned before, my build process is not conducive to time-lapsing, and it's just sometimes not interesting because it's a lot of time with me staring at things and moving the camera and trying to figure out how to best handle things, and not real interesting to in a YouTube video. So, but there is some of it actually I think is fine, and so I'll be using it. Some of it we will just be cutting in and out, and I will be showing you progress as there is things to show, and so there'll be a blend, and that's probably how this whole series will go. Some of it will be good for time lapsing, some of it will not, some of it will just be cinematic, some of it will just be showing you progress as there is enough progress to show things. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and absolutely leave me comments. Hopefully it will get better as time goes on. Not just the videos themselves, but my commentary. I'm not used to speaking over video. It's something that I haven't done a whole lot, and certainly haven't done for quite a while. So I'm hoping to improve on that as well. You would think by some of the fumbling around I do here that I never took a communications class in my life, and that is not true. So I hope that it will improve. But if you've hung out with me this long, congratulations, and thank you very much. All right, that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you very much. Goodbye.